Maybe you are someone who has always felt a little too much. The kind of person who walks into a room and instantly feels the quiet tension, the hidden sadness, or the unspoken joy floating between people. You notice what others miss. A flicker of pain in someone's smile, the exhaustion behind laughter, or the silent cry for understanding that hides beneath confident words. And sometimes, this deep awareness feels like both a blessing and a burden. Because while it allows you to connect with others on a level that's rare and beautiful, it also means you carry emotions that are not always your own. Emotions that cling to your soul, shaping the way you see the world. You feel responsible for soothing pain, for making things right, for holding light in dark places, even when no one asks you to. And in that constant effort to care, to heal, to bring warmth where there's coldness, you sometimes forget the one person who needs that same compassion most, yourself. But learning to care for yourself is not selfishness, it is wisdom. It is understanding that the well you pour from must be refilled, that your energy, your peace, your light must be protected if you want to keep sharing it. The truth is, empathy without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Generosity without balance becomes depletion. And love, when it never turns inward, slowly loses its strength. So you must learn the art of being kind without breaking yourself apart. The art of saying no with grace. The art of resting without guilt. Because self-care is not withdrawal from the world. It's what allows you to stay in it, fully and authentically, without losing the parts of yourself that make you human, whole, and capable of love. Every time you choose peace over people-pleasing, every time you choose truth over approval, every time you choose rest over constant effort, you are not giving up. You are growing up. You are learning that your worth is not measured by how much you give, but by how fully you exist, how deeply you live, and how gently you treat yourself through the chaos. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real one, the one who feels, who falters, who tries again, who learns how to bloom even after being broken. So take a moment, breathe. Remember that it's okay to be soft in a world that often values hardness, to be emotional in a culture that glorifies indifference, to care deeply in times that reward detachment. You are not weak for feeling. You are alive, awake, and beautifully human. The depth of your empathy is not a flaw. It's your compass, your gift, the quiet force that connects you to life itself. And when you learn to hold that sensitivity with love instead of shame, you become unstoppable. Not because you harden, but because you honor the gentle power that was always within you. There comes a time in every sensitive soul's journey when you begin to realize that not everyone will understand the way you feel, the way you love, or the way you give. And that's okay. Your depth was never meant to be understood by everyone. It was meant to reach the few who are capable of seeing the world with the same kind of openness and honesty. You see, people who feel deeply are often misunderstood because their silence is not emptiness, it's observation. Their distance is not rejection, it's reflection. And their tears are not weakness, they are truth, overflowing from the heart. You do not need to apologize for your sensitivity. It is not too much. It is exactly what this world, lost in noise and distraction, needs most: authenticity. But with that authenticity comes pain, the kind that forces you to grow. The world will not always reciprocate your love. It will not always reward your goodness. Some will take more than they give. Others will misunderstand your intentions. You will be judged for your kindness in ways that make you question yourself. Yet, even through all of this, you will rise stronger, not because you stopped caring, but because you learned how to care without losing yourself. Strength is not in hardening your heart. It's in keeping it open when you have every reason to close it. You may have scars that no one sees, moments where you gave everything and received nothing, where you tried to help and were met with silence, where your love was taken for granted. But these moments do not define your worth. They refine it. They teach you where to give and where to let go. They teach you that peace is not found in being understood, but in understanding yourself. And when you finally learn to love yourself with the same tenderness you offer to others, the world begins to change. Not because it becomes softer, but because you do. Healing is not about forgetting the past. It's about transforming your relationship with it. Every wound you've carried has something to teach you, not about pain, but about strength. The moments that broke you open were also the moments that revealed who you truly are. You are not fragile. You are resilient. You are not too emotional. You are deeply human. Every time you pick yourself up after being hurt, you prove that your softness is not a weakness. It's your greatest form of courage. So be proud of your heart, not because it's unbreakable, but because it continues to love even after breaking. Be proud of your empathy, not because it makes life easier, but because it makes life meaningful. You were never meant to blend into a world that fears vulnerability. You were meant to be the reminder that humanity still exists, in gentle voices, in patient hearts, and in souls that choose love even when it's hard. As you continue along this path of emotional awareness and self-discovery, you begin to understand that true strength does not come from suppressing your emotions, but from learning how to coexist with them. You start to see that pain and peace are not opposites. They are partners in your evolution. Pain shows you where you've been hurt, while peace reminds you that healing is possible. Every moment of heartbreak, confusion, or disappointment becomes an invitation to look inward, not to criticize yourself, but to understand yourself more deeply. Because the more you understand your emotions, the less power they have to control you. And in that understanding, you find freedom, not the kind that comes from avoiding pain, but the kind that comes from facing it with courage and compassion. You begin to notice that silence, once uncomfortable, now feels like peace. Solitude, once mistaken for loneliness, becomes a sacred space for renewal. You start to realize that protecting your energy is not selfish. It's necessary. You no longer chase validation, because you have learned that your worth does not depend on how much others appreciate you, but on how deeply you appreciate yourself. You stop over-explaining, over-giving, over-apologizing, and instead, you begin to trust the quiet confidence that comes from self-acceptance. In this stillness, you discover that you are enough. You always were. And perhaps for the first time, you stop seeing sensitivity as a burden and start seeing it as your superpower. The ability to feel deeply, to notice the invisible, to care when others turn away. These are not flaws. They are your unique gifts to the world. Through them, you bring light into dark spaces, warmth into cold hearts, and understanding into places where judgment once lived. The world does not need less sensitivity. It needs more hearts brave enough to feel, to listen, and to love without conditions. When you live this way, with awareness, compassion, and quiet strength, you stop needing to prove yourself. You stop rushing, competing, or trying to be understood by everyone. Instead, you become anchored in your truth. You begin to see beauty in the simple, power in the gentle, and wisdom in the silence. You start to live not from reaction, but from intention. And slowly, your life begins to align, not with what the world expects of you, but with what your soul has always known. That peace is not found in the absence of storms, but in the ability to remain centered within them. There comes a point in your journey when you stop searching for validation in the outside world, because you finally realize that no one can fully understand the depth of what you carry inside. You learn that peace begins not when life becomes easier, but when you stop fighting yourself. You stop chasing people who only see a fraction of your worth, and instead, you start nurturing the parts of you that no one else claps for. The quiet strength, the patience, the resilience that keeps you going even when no one notices. This is where true respect begins, not from others, but from within. You begin to understand that not everyone deserves access to your kindness, your energy, or your time. The more you value yourself, the more selective you become about who gets to be close to you. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors that only open to those who know how to treat you with care. You stop explaining why you are protecting your peace, because peace needs no justification. And in that quiet certainty, you start walking differently. You move with intention. You speak with calm confidence. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into spaces that don't honor your soul. You realize that self-respect is not arrogance, and humility is not weakness. True humility is knowing your value without needing to prove it. It is the quiet understanding that you are neither above nor below anyone. You simply are. And from that place of balance, you start to live differently. You choose presence over performance, connection over approval, peace over perfection. You understand that your energy is sacred, and that giving it to the wrong people is a form of self-abandonment. So, you choose differently. You choose yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of respect. As the days pass, you notice small miracles. Your heart no longer races to please. Your voice no longer trembles to speak truth. Your mind no longer replays every moment of doubt. You breathe deeper, walk slower, listen more. You start to feel the rhythm of life moving through you, not against you. You learn that being grounded is not about control, but about trust. Trusting that no matter what happens, you can handle it with grace. And that quiet grace becomes your strength, the kind that doesn't shout, but radiates. And in time, you realize something even deeper. Respect is not something you demand. It is something you attract by the way you carry yourself. When you walk with authenticity, when you speak with honesty, when you act with integrity, the right people recognize your value without needing to be told. The rest will simply drift away. And that's okay, because you are no longer chasing, proving, or explaining. You are simply being, whole, aware, and free. So as you move forward, remember this truth. Your worth is not measured by how others treat you, but by how you treat yourself when no one is watching. The respect you seek begins with the respect you show yourself, in your choices, your voice, your boundaries, your silence. And once you master that, life begins to mirror it back to you. The world starts to treat you the way you've finally learned to treat yourself, with respect, with patience, with love.